We are less than 24 hours away from Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. But what's the team going to look like? Well, we know it a little better now after Cooper's conference. Welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And welcome to the whole new start of the season on FFTV with a little refresh. What do you guys think about my new decor? Is that even the right word? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to grab yourself this beautiful light, the link for it's in the description, plus a 25% discount using code FFTV25. And if you want this beautiful signed framed Forest shirt, it's got everyone's signature on there. It's even got Lottie's on there. And Chris Wood, unfortunately. But if you want that, the link for it from Football Prizes is in the description below. Use code FFTV for 10% off as well. Coming up in today's video, we're going to give you a Henderson blow. There is an update on what's happening with Dean Henderson. That will be coming. We'll talk to you about all the injuries ahead of the Arsenal game tomorrow. And let's talk about Steve Cooper's mindset and mentality. And are there subliminal messages being sent to Marinakis? Before we do all that, please don't forget, as always, to hit that like button. Subscribe to FFTV. And tonight, 4:30, we're kicking off the Predictor League again. So make sure you're signed up and ready. I don't want any excuses this season. We've got to beat Twist of Fate. And then at 7 p.m, there's a live Gore stream for you guys. The content is coming at you thick and fast. Let's get into the news. All right, guys, so let's start with the injury update. And it's the three key players that we need to talk about. But before we do, something that's very interesting is it seems that these are the only three that are on the medical staff's table right now, which must be a record low for us currently. And the three I'm talking about, of course, are Taiwo Awoniyi, you got Felipe, and the third one is Musa Niakate. Steve Cooper has confirmed that all three of them have just recently come back into training, and he doesn't think that they'll be ready to play Arsenal tomorrow. Do I believe him is question number one, and my answer is Magic Sponge comes to mind. We've seen this a million times before. I think we'll see one of them, and the one I think we will see will be Felipe. Why? Because playing Taiwo would be risky for no point. Look, let's be honest, yeah. If we can get anything out of tomorrow's game, it's a bonus. Free hit, all that usual cliches that you hear week in, week out. But with Felipe in the team, it makes sense. He makes Worrell better. He makes McKenna better. He makes me better. He makes us all better. Just knowing he's on the team calms me down. And he could be the difference between a 5-0 or maybe a 1-0. Do you know what I mean? He can bring that soundness to it. And remember, as I said in yesterday's video, it's not like he trains game day in, day out anyway, even last season. He gets wrapped up in cotton wool and he gets rolled out when he's ready. So it makes sense for me to bring Felipe in, even if it was for 60 minutes, just to calm the defense down, make sure the organization is there. And I could potentially see that happening. Now, can I see Awoniyi starting? No, we're not going to create that many chances. Why risk him? Why maybe re-injure his ankle or whatever? It's not worth it. And with Musa, who knows? Who knows? Again, I don't think he'll be risked because he definitely gets wrapped up in cotton wool. Anytime there's, if he farts too and he strains too much on it, they take him straight off in case a blood vessel is popped. But with him, the injury was an arm injury, nothing to do with the legs. You can kind of probably chuck him out with a soft cast or something like that. But I don't think he'll be risked. It's Felipe, if I had to guess. Look, it might be none of them. It's all a guessing game until, of course, we see the team sheet at 11:30 tomorrow. But those are the three injuries. And it makes good sense to know, well, it's reassuring to know, should I say, that the medical staff aren't as busy as they were at most of parts last season. So, would you risk any of them, is my question to you. If you'd risk all three of them, let me know. If you'd only want to risk one of them, let me know. If you think save them and roll them out for Sheffield United, let me know. But the thing I want to say here is you don't want them going into Sheffield United too cold either. So getting some, oh God, I'm about to say minutes and legs, is probably quite important to make sure that these players are ready and match fit for it, because we definitely need to beat Sheffield United. One, because we all hate them, but two, look at our fixture lists. But get your thoughts in down below. Okay, so let's move on to item number 2, and this is actually more about Steve Cooper and his current state of mind. There have been many pleading signals, I guess is probably the right word to use, maybe it's not, from him to Marinakis slyly in the press and media about the squad not being, complete enough. He was asked a few times in the press conference yesterday, did he think he needed more players? And he's quite sharp to reply with a yes when pushed on what positions they were. He kind of did the managerial talk as you'd expect with any manager and said, I'm not going to go into the details, mate. That's kind of between me and the Greek father. So what's clear to see, and I believe this is the case, is that Cooper's obviously gone to the board or to the sporting director and said, I need more players. This is what I need. Here's my shopping list. Get me these players. For whatever reason, Forest haven't been able to get them. Now, we don't know if that's because the players on his shopping list maybe were a delusional list, shall we say? Players that Forest can't yet attract. Maybe there's not enough money to bring those players in. Or maybe Marinakis has said to him, mate, are you forgetting I gave you 160 million last year? I brought you in 30 players, yeah? Kind of, don't get to eat all your sweets at once and go and sort that team out. You've got a good enough Premier League team. Or it could be something else. We don't know. But what we do know is that he definitely wants more players. And I think it's obvious without even Cooper saying where those positions need to be strengthened. They need to be, obviously we need another centre back, definitely a CDM, and definitely in my mind now a backup striker, probably a left back, probably another right winger, depending on what Jono does. So you can still see there's holes in the team. So I do sympathise a little with Cooper here in terms of where the patches need to be filled. But at the same time, I really do sympathise with Marinakis, because he could turn to Cooper and say, okay, if you need a new left winger, for example, play Dennis. He can do that position. He hasn't had a run out. You've got, we brought you in Einar. He can play at left back. He can play at right back. You can make do with that. You got Biancone, who could play at centre back. The only one where you can't really shoehorn someone into, in my opinion, is a centre-back. And of course, if he's saying he wants a backup striker, then we got Chris Wood. And I'm pretty sure Cooper wanted him, seeing as he chucked him straight in from the medical onto the Premier League match as soon as he signed. So it's going to be, I reckon there's always going to be these debates. It doesn't necessarily have to be at Nottingham Forest. These debates will happen whatever club it's at, be it at Arsenal, be it at Sheffield United coming up, whoever. There's always going to be the battle between the owner and the manager in terms of the manager will always want more new players. It's just standard. And the manager, the owner will be like, yo, chill, bro, chill. You've got what you need, or I'll get you some stuff, but it ain't going to be that expensive. So it's going to be a bit of a mix and match. But these are things we weren't hearing from Cooper last season. And I mean, he couldn't have said it, could he? Go get me some more players after having signed 22. But what's clear is we know who he likes and who he doesn't like. We've seen the likes of O'Brien and Dennis being shunned out of the team. I'd probably add Scarpa into that as well. All three players haven't moved on this summer. Now, the window is still open. There's still plenty of time to do business. But will Cooper have to rely on players that he doesn't want to use in the team because either the money's not available or the players he wants don't want to come to Nottingham Forest? And how's that relationship rebuild going to happen? And how's the confidence of those players coming in? These are all questions that I'm interested to see the answers to. And these are answers we will get over the next few weeks as we start to get a better idea of how Cooper wants to set Nottingham Forest up, especially in these opening 6 matches. So it's becoming clearer and clearer, to summarize, that Cooper definitely wants more players. And I don't think Forest are going to get too many more in. I think if Cooper's lucky, we'll get ourselves a centre-back, maybe a CDM, and that's probably going to be it. And that is probably not strong enough to get us higher up the league, especially if you're an idiot like me and are thinking maybe with this squad we could get 7th. And I do expect the pressure to ramp up on Cooper. Unless, of course, we go and tonk Arsenal, then we go and beat Sheffield United, Man City, etc., then give him a medal. But the media will start, questioning decisions. They always need their story. Look, how will I feel about it? If Cooper goes and wins the next 6 games, thank you very much. You're doing your job. If he loses, then those 4 away games, we all expect a loss on those. It's those 2 home games where he has to get, I would say, at least 4 points out of them. Ideally for me, beat Sheffield United. That's the big one for me. With Burnley, all right, they look actually quite good. They're spending well. A draw would be a minimum for me. But if he doesn't win those 2 games or get 4 points out of 6, he could find himself in trouble. And at the end of the day, it's Marinakis' club. Marinakis, well, technically it's our club, but he holds the keys is probably the best way to say it. But he holds the decision-making capability. And it's up to him. If he starts to get annoyed with what he's seeing on the pitch, we could see Cooper under a lot of pressure. Now, this video isn't about Cooper in or Cooper out. I'm sure those debates are going to happen throughout the season as we start to get into it. But we've got to be realistic and understand that he is probably one of the managers under the most pressure going into this season, because Marinakis just wants us to do as well as we can. Cooper wants us to do as well as we can. So us as the fan base, we got to have an understanding as well of what is as well as we can. How many points do you guys think would be a good return from those first 6 horrific looking games this season? Let me know that in the comments down below. Alrighty guys, let's move on and talk about some transfer updates. And yeah, this is the topic of the summer. I know, I'm sorry, it's a bit boring, but it's important. And that's Dean Henderson. There may be a blow in this deal yet. So I'm not going to go over old grounds. I've told you guys plenty of times about the medical issue with him. But Heaton has just had an injury. I think it's a calf injury currently at Manchester United. And there are these rumours and murmurs that Man United are now less willing and less likely to want to release Henderson until they clear up what's happening there. Now, the Henderson deal wasn't going to happen for a couple of weeks anyway. So all eyes come back on Manchester United now. And Heaton, how long will his injury be for? Is it a long-term one? Is it just a strain? I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and find out. But if that's the case, they may look at Dean Henderson for backup. Problem they've got now is they've technically got 2 players who are injured as backup. So if we start to see Manchester United fishing around in the goalkeeper pond again in the transfer market, then we know there might be a chance. They've got linked to a few goalkeepers over the last couple of weeks. And that was on top of Onana. I still think the Henderson deal will happen. I can't see, even with this Heaton injury, Henderson himself still wanting to stay there to play second fiddle to Onana. And come what may, it doesn't really matter if Manchester United want to sell him or not. We know Dean Henderson is hell-bent on joining Nottingham Forest. And the last thing you want in your team, be it Forest, Man U, Arsenal, Chelsea, whoever, is an unhappy, unwilling to play player. Now, I'm not saying he's unwilling to play, but in terms of motivation, where his heart is, and that's clearly at the City ground. And I still can't see, and I would be surprised if Ten Hag was stupid enough to keep him there under duress. That makes it sound like torture. Technically it is. It's Manchester United. I mean, the only reason people go there is for the money. Let's be honest. Look how stupidly overinflated the salaries are. And that's because Manchester United have to force them in. But the point here is, Henderson wants Forest. But if Heaton is injured and it's long term, then Manchester United may try and stall this deal even further. We already know it's going to the wire in terms of can he undertake a medical, not even pass it. And it's going to get tense. But get your thoughts in. And the question really then comes, if Forest can't get Henderson because of this injury, let's say Ten Hag forces him to stay, then if we start to see movement in the market for Forest looking for keepers, and there's been a couple of reports on Schmeichel. Now, we haven't brought this to you because they're not well sourced and I don't believe them anyway. But it could be something that starts to develop over the next couple of weeks. The bottom line, though, is Forest did the right thing by getting Matt Turner in, which alleviates the pressure on the recruitment team to have to rush another goalkeeper in, be it Henderson or whoever. So at least that's done. And Matt Turner should hopefully be adequate enough to start between the sticks and not do a Hennessy or a Navas Fairy liquid gloves things. We'll just have to wait and see, because he's a bit of an unknown. Speaking to the AFTV boys yesterday, they said to me they can't even fill us in too much on what to expect from Matt Turner because they didn't see much of him. They literally said you're better off judging him on the international games rather than the handful of games he's played for Arsenal. But as this goalkeeper story develops, we'll keep you posted. But nothing too much has changed because we still expect the Henderson medical to be late into this window. Get your thoughts in down below. Okay, so that, my friends, brings you up to date with your latest Nottingham Forest news. Not too much happening, if I'm being honest with you, kind of scraping the barrel with the information that's going around. But please don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on all socials. We will be back at 5 p.m. tonight, 4:30 p.m. tonight with the live predictor stream. First one of the season. Can't wait to get into it. It's going to be so much fun. And then at 7 p.m, we've got a live gore stream for you with the boys where we will be previewing the big match tomorrow for Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. So please do take a quick second, if you haven't already, to hit that like button, subscribe to Forest Fan TV. And if you want any of Wolverine's setup, links for it are in the description below. And as always, come on you Reds.